Victim Helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Rams and Chargers will have to make a cross-country trip for their first-round game in the NFL playoffs. The Rams locked up the number 5 seed in the NFC and will play at Carolina on Saturday. 1:30 p.m. kickoff on Fox. The Chargers are the number 7 seed in the AFC. Their first-round matchup is at New England, the number 2 seed in the AFC. That game is scheduled for Sunday at 4:30 p.m. on NBC. Raheem Morris, one of 5 African-American head coaches in the NFL this season, was the first head coach to be fired. The Atlanta Falcons fired Morris Sunday evening, despite the Falcons winning their last 4 games. Atlanta finished 8-9. LeBron and Luka Doncic combined for 62 points Sunday night to lead the Lakers to a 120-114 win over Memphis. Doncic had 36, LeBron dropped 26 and 10 assists. The Lakers are 22-11, third best in the Western Conference. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
1 year ago, flames tore through Altadena and Eaton Canyon, changing lives forever. From the ashes, can a beloved community rise stronger? Hi, I'm Dominique DePrima, host of First Things First, weekday mornings, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580. And I'm inviting you to join us on Wednesday, January 7th, as we broadcast live from Perry's Joint on the 1-year anniversary of this horrific and devastating fire. We're remembering those we lost, celebrating the heroes and sheroes who answered the call, and honoring the resilience of neighbors who are determined to rebuild together.
I've been a strong black woman a long time, and I can't just break down now.
Hear the stories of survival, the voices of recovery, the spirit of community that the fire couldn't destroy, and yes, the angst of those who still do not know where they go from here.
Yeah, where am I go?
At KBLA Talk 1580, we don't just cover the story, we're part of this community, and we've done our level best to hold those responsible for this fire accountable. And 1 year later, we're still standing together.
It is my hopes that black people will rebuild those homes.
So join us live at Perry's Joint, 2051 Lincoln Avenue in Pasadena, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Wednesday, January 7th, as we commemorate the 1-year anniversary of the Altadena Eaton Canyon fire. Because some stories demand to be remembered.
This too shall pass.
This KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall is sponsored by LA Fire Justice.
Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again, y'all. Look out. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Listen to me.
KBLA Talk 1580. We are being joined by the leader of this nation's second largest city. She is the chief executive for the city of Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass. Good morning. We have Mayor Bass joining us momentarily, I should say. She is an Angelino, a native Angelino, born and raised in the Venice Fairfax neighborhood. She has served Los Angeles in the state assembly. She was the first African-American woman ever to lead a state legislative body as the Speaker of the California legislature. She also served in Congress before being elected the mayor of the city of Los Angeles, the 43rd mayor to be exact, the first woman and the second African-American ever elected as the city's chief executive. We have her on the line. Mayor Karen Bass, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you as well, Mayor Bass. I know you specifically and urgently wanted to talk this morning about Venezuela. And some people may say, well, you know, that's an international issue. Why is it so urgent for us as a city?
Well, I think it is always important anytime you see a major international event like this, because it could certainly impact our area. And I think it's just another example of an abuse of power from President Trump. I mean, this time it's internationally, but we also saw the abuse of power domestically begin in our city. And I think it's important that we don't lose sight that the raids still continue. The focus in other states, for example, are on Africans in terms of the attacks on people from Somalia. But we always have to keep our eyes open to this president, because he could send the National Guard back at any point in time, and he has said that.
I mean, they kind of seemed like they were backing off the National Guard over the holidays, saying, they were going to pull them out of major cities. But you're saying we don't know that that's a permanent decision?
Trump has said that. Trump has said that. I mean, since when has he followed the law? The only reason he was backing off is because the court said he had to, so he didn't have a choice. But it raises a lot of questions. I mean, what we saw happen in the last couple of weeks with the ICE agent here in Los Angeles, it raises the question, how many ICE agents do we have? What is their, not necessarily authority here, but I think that we have to be on the watch always and be vigilant. Now, one other thing that could happen is that when we have U.S. intervention like this in other countries, there can be an increase in people coming to the United States. But I think we should be really clear. I mean, this is the U.S. military going over and arresting a president. For those of us that have been around for a while, this is not the first time this has happened. President Bush did this. Bush 41 did this in the late 80s in Panama. They went over, they arrested the president of Panama, Noriega, brought him back, tried him in Florida, and he died there in prison. The pretense for doing this was related to drugs that come into our city, drugs that come into our country. I don't know what evidence there is that Venezuela has involvement in that. I know, though, that President Trump just pardoned about a month ago a known drug trafficker who was the president from Honduras. Well, he pardons one and then arrests another. And it's interesting that he took him to New York. I think he could have taken him to a lot of other places, too. I think about the mayor of New York, Mayor Mandani, who really wasn't even in office for 72 hours before he has to deal with his first crisis, a crisis imposed by the president.
Yeah, well, there's so many questions about that, and, I don't know even really where to start. You're, of course, referring to Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez, who's not only was doing 43 years for drug trafficking, narco trafficking. His brother was allegedly the head of one of the biggest cartels in Central America. And to your point, people run. Where do they run? They come this way. So it does set off a chain reaction. But when you're talking about arresting, we went into another country, which is Venezuela, arrested their president and the first lady, and brought them here. That seems, I know it's not the first time it's happened, but it seems like a new level of sort of blatantness about it, because he was talking about drugs, but then once they got here, he started talking about oil, and he did say that we were he did say that we were going to be running their country.
Right. Exactly. Now that has not happened before. And over history, over the last, 200 years, we've obviously intervened in a lot of countries. I think what is different this time is that it was so bold. I mean, the only thing he didn't do was tell us the date. He had been signaling and telegraphing that we were going to do this for a good part of last year. And we knew that this was coming, and it's here. But then to boldly say, and now we're running everything, as though that country doesn't exist. And the thing is that, of course, there's tens of thousands, if not millions, of Venezuelans that did not like Maduro and who are celebrating this. But the majority of Venezuelans, and I think we'll see this over time, even if they didn't like Maduro, it's still a question of national pride and national sovereignty. It's up to them to get rid of their president, not for us to go intervene. And now he's talking about Colombia. He's basically sending a signal to anyone around the world that if we want your resources, look out, we're coming. I thought it was very interesting that we bombed Nigeria. What does Nigeria have? Nigeria has oil. We're bombing Nigeria because of attacks on Christians. Do we have any concern about the Sudan? I mean, so I think what is happening, and it's just important for us to see, if you look at the oil companies that are going to benefit by this intervention, how many of them were major contributors to him? Who's going to rebuild the East Wing? Is there any connection there? I don't know. I think we should look and see. But I think he very boldly talked about the oil and said he was going to bring in U.S. companies to clean up, quote unquote, their oil industry.
Yeah, but one thing that we've learned, or we should have learned, from many of the messes that we've made throughout Latin America, I mean, we messed up Guatemala, El Salvador, Chile, right. We've intervened in Brazil. I mean, that usually, and then look at Afghanistan. It's not that we just do regime change and then everything is, and then we're done. It's these are the forever wars that he said he was going to get us out of, and the endless messes of people we train. Now they become our enemies, and we get new allies there. And us running other countries, even when we're pretending we're not, has never worked out very well.
Well, and recent history is Iraq. I mean, shock and awe. We were supposed to go in. They were supposed to welcome us with flowers and embrace us. We fired the entire military, and then, of course, the military organized afterwards, and we've had trouble in Iraq ever since. And I think that what happened in Iraq, I think, was just repeated over the weekend in the sense that, okay, we know how to take the country over, but then we make no plans, really, for what is going to happen afterwards. And I think that you will see that there are no plans for what does it mean when we say now we are going to run Venezuela. What does that mean? And I think that that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
I mean, you mentioned oil in Nigeria, but I was actually arguing with Amanda Seals about this on Instagram, that the big U.S. corporations already have access to the Nigerian oil. One of the reasons we have the problems in the Niger Delta is because, of the pollution and the ruining of the fishing lands that's being done by Shell and other big oil companies in Nigeria. So why are they... why did we seize a Nigerian tanker? Why are we bombing Nigeria? It's not the government that is doing any oppression of Christians. It's a terrorist group, right? The Boko Haram, which is part of ISIS. I mean, part of Al Qaeda. So make it make sense.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And again, I think it's a hard stretch to think that we went and bombed Nigeria because we were worried about Christians. And you remember from Boko Haram, remember their camps. Well, who were in those camps? They had seized a lot of people in those camps, the girls. You remember that?
Yeah, they were.
So I guarantee you when they bombed that they also killed Christians at the same time.
Yeah, well, the reports from Nigeria were that they were bombing in areas where there wasn't even Boko Haram. They were killing just regular villagers who were going about their business.
Right.
Which, of course, we're talking Venezuela, how it impacts us, what we ought to perhaps be doing about it, and what's next. We'll continue the conversation with Mayor Karen Bass when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to partner with the Empowerment Congress once again for their 34th annual summit. The summit's theme is From Vision to Action, a forum to unlock participatory democracy, and will feature a nonpartisan gubernatorial candidate forum focused on issues of importance to the African American community. The summit is the signature public policy-oriented observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy during the national 3-day holiday weekend that celebrates his life. This year's summit will be held on Saturday, January 17, 2026 at the California Science Center in Exposition Park from 9 to 11 a.m. Admission is free, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. All major announced candidates for California governor for the Democratic and Republican Party nominations have been invited to participate in the candidate forum, which will be moderated by Tavis Smiley. An all-star panel of journalists will pose questions to the candidates, and the forum will be broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580. This is going to be a big year for local, state, and national politics. The political pulse of 2026 beats on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Talking with Mayor Karen Bass and looking at what's happened in Venezuela with the, U.S. military. They're saying they've talked to a lawyer and they think they're tricky because they're saying this was a law enforcement operation, not a military operation, in kidnapping the president of Venezuela and his wife. Yeah. Now, do they usually take the first lady? That seems like an escalation too.
Well, that is often used when there's military intervention to avert following the War Powers Act. So if you say it's a law enforcement, then, presidents have used that in the past. So I think that's why they're saying it, although, again, we know this president has no allegiance to following the law. But even saying it's a law enforcement operation, so what does that mean? We're the policemen for the world? Why would we take over another country, say it's law enforcement? There was no direct threat to the United States, although they will claim there is because of the drugs. But I think in time we will see whether or not that's true, and I highly doubt that.
Well, we also know that the indictment that they've put forth does not mention fentanyl. So if there are drugs, it's cocaine, which doesn't seem to be our main problem at the moment. And apparently there has been a congressional briefing, finally, maybe.
No, I don't think so. But I think Congress is back today, maybe. I don't know. The congressional briefing you're probably referring to is the briefing that the top congressional leaders get. Oh. But in terms of members of Congress, I'm sure they will get their classified briefing this week, and I don't think it will be a surprise, the reaction. But one thing we are seeing, and I think this is a hopeful sign, is that there does seem to be in Congress a crack in his armor, in the sense that where the Republicans would never say anything about him at all, it's going to be interesting to see if the Republicans who really adhere to the American First doctrine as to whether or not they go along with this. And Dominique, back to why this impacts us, I think it's always important that we pay attention to international events. If you think about the exorbitant cost of doing what we're doing in Venezuela, and the fact that this month, Angelenos and Americans all over the country are going to experience a double or tripling of their health care benefits because the subsidies are going away. And so it's one thing that KBLA listeners might want to pay attention to is when they get their bill for their health insurance, pay attention to it because it could double or triple in cost. And we are already dealing with the fact that life here, as well as in most other parts of the country, has become less and less affordable.
Right.
So while we're wasting money in overseas adventures to benefit oil companies, we are overtaxing Americans with these charges on health care. The other thing we have to be worried about this month is the SNAP benefits. And whether or not the government is going to shut down again at the end of the month. Remember, their agreement was only until the end of January.
Yeah. So, point of clarity, that briefing is taking place at 5:30 tonight, and it is, as you said, only leaders of the Senate and House Armed Services Committee and a few other select members of Congress. So it's not a wider briefing. Won't happen till tonight, which is also days after the attack. Marco Rubio has sort of head fake towards Cuba. The president has mentioned Colombia and Greenland. So could we see a spree? Are we going to be collecting presidents in our prisons here, and presidents and prime ministers? And at what point do the American people, have a say in this?
Well, I hope the point that American people have a say in it is this November, because right now there is no check or balance on this president. Basically, we're supposed to have 3 co-equal branches of government. That doesn't exist right now because the leadership of the House and the Senate basically handed their gavels over to the president and say, whatever you tell us to do, that's what we're going to do. And then you have the Supreme Court and the judiciary, which is supposed to be the other co-equal branch of government, and they've been completely compromised by appointments that Trump made in his first administration. So you have our government, instead of 3 co-equal branches of government, now we only have 1 branch of government. And so when we take back the House in November, at least the House of Representatives can serve as a check on the president. Right now, there is no check. He can do whatever he wants. And I think one thing that he has shown us, which we have never seen before, is that I'm the president, I'm in my second term, I can do whatever I want, and you can't do anything to me. I can break the law. And this is something that we haven't seen to this extreme. That's not to say that other presidents haven't done this occasionally, but never to this extreme.
Yeah, well, we have a long history of intervention, particularly in Latin America. It feels very racist the way we intervene in Latin America and in Africa. I just can't imagine them kidnapping a European president and bringing him to an American prison and making him do a perp walk in sandals.
Well, and listen to his language, the way he talks about the people of Venezuela. Like, you're so incapable of running your country, I have to come take care of your country because you don't know what to do. I mean, not only is that, it's just incredible for a president of the United States to so blatantly refer to another country in such a disrespectful manner. But one mistake that U.S. foreign policy makes over and over again is underestimating the power of nationalism. And so you do something like this, and again, even though I'm sure there are millions of Venezuelans who did not like Maduro, who wanted to see Maduro leave, but they want to take care of their own problems. It's their country. They don't want somebody else coming in and telling them what to do. And that's a mistake that we have repeated historically over and over and over again. And this was another example.
I mean, I think it's nationalism. I also think it's the power of the people, right? Because when you do that, you're bypassing any even pretense that the goal is democracy. When you say we're going to run your country and we're going to arrest your president, it's underestimating the power of the people there and here, because I don't think this is being well received by the American people.
No, I don't think it's being well received because I think that people are tired of this playbook over and over again to see this happen, and the outcome is always the same. I mean, you have Venezuelans here and in the country cheering it. Let's see whether they're cheering it in 5 or 6 months.
Well, yeah, okay. Also, many of those Venezuelans, yes, they have an agenda, but they're still living here. They're not living there. So I think the people living there should have a greater say. That's my opinion. I'm worried about Cuba, though, because I feel like the Secretary of State has a personal vendetta against Cuba. And I feel like, Trump just said, well, they're not in very good shape. We know that Cuban soldiers were among the people guarding, Nicolas Maduro. He trusted the Cubans more than some other folks. And according to BIN News, more than 30 of them died. So what are your thoughts?
Right.
I mean, I know you know a bit about Cuba.
Well, I think that this has been long coming, and if you just dial back the calendar a little bit to when President Obama was there, and for the first time since Jimmy Carter, we actually had an opening of relationships. You actually had U.S. businesses there cooperating with the Cuban people. And we shut that down. It's been shut down for years and have been, really causing economic havoc on the island. And one of the ways they were able to function was because of the oil they got from Venezuela. Now that will be shut off. That's going to lead to blackouts and other economic problems. So don't be surprised to see an influx of Cubans coming in because of our policies there. We wonder why people rush into our country. In many instances, it's because of what we are doing in their countries.
Yeah, it's really terrible, and I feel like, yes, it's part of the same old playbook, but it's going to another level. Mayor Bass, you mentioned ICE and the impacts that we're having here, and you said something that happened a week or so ago, or in the last couple of weeks around ICE that you were tracking, and I didn't know what you were referencing. I meant to follow up on that.
Oh, well, it was actually on New Year's Eve. There was a man who was killed by an off-duty ICE agent.
Keith Porter. His name is Keith Porter Jr. I was at a vigil for him last night. Yes.
Yes, thank you. And he, as far as I understand, might have been firing his weapon at New Year's Eve at midnight. And the ICE agent apparently heard gunfire and came out and fired on him. I don't know a lot of the specifics of this, but I do know that we were all surprised to hear about the ICE agent in the community. I guess we shouldn't have been, but it just makes you wonder how many ICE agents are here. What is the guardrails to prevent something like this from happening? And all of that is something that I think has caused a lot of alarm, and we need to find out what the facts are around this.
Absolutely, and see the escalation now of an off-duty ICE guy killing an African American.
Right.
And now it's being investigated by Homeland Security and the LAPD. I certainly hope we'll have an independent investigation, and I really hope you're keeping an eye on this, Mayor, because one of the first things I said when I started flooding our cities, there's no way that an influx like this of federal agents ends well for Black Americans, and this is what we're seeing now.
Well, I mean, I think when you think about the start of the administration, I mean, we saw the dramatic intervention here. We saw the, seizure, kidnapping of Latino immigrants. But remember, the thing the administration did was essentially outlawed diversity, equity, and inclusion and fired major African-American leaders from the military, from the civilian side, and that was done within the first couple of weeks of the administration. So when we might see it happen to one group here in our city, we also know that they came for us first.
Yeah. Well, Mayor Karen Bass, I know that our time is up. Thank you for joining us this morning. How can we track what you're doing in this rather crucial year?
I am always a phone call away, and would love to come back, especially a lot in January, because there's going to be a lot going on. We're 6 months away from the World Cup coming, and we want to make sure that when these events happen around the city, that our specific neighborhoods and communities benefit too.
Mayor Bass, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me on, Dominique.
Phone lines are wide open if you want to talk Venezuela, if you want to talk Keith Porter, say his name. If you want to talk about anything else that's going on, your hopes and dreams for 2026, all that is on the table, 800-920-1580. Right now, it's news, traffic, and sports, only right here.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Protesters are erupting outside the White House over U.S. military action in Venezuela.
No war in Venezuela! No war in Venezuela! War for oil! No!
Demonstrations are also happening in Los Angeles, Times Square, and near Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. Police responded overnight to Vice President J.D. Vance's Cincinnati home after apparent vandalism or an attempted break-in. Video shows damaged windows. A suspect is in custody, but details are scarce. The Secret Service has not commented. And Prince is trending again thanks to Stranger Things. Spotify says Purple Rain streams jumped 243%, while When Doves Cry rose 200% after both tracks appeared in the Netflix season finale. The songs are from his classic 1984 album, Purple Rain. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Rams and Chargers will have to make a cross-country trip for their first-round game in the NFL playoffs. The Rams locked up the number 5 seed in the NFC and will play at Carolina on Saturday, 1:30 p.m. kickoff on Fox. The Chargers are the number 7 seed in the AFC. Their first-round matchup is at New England, the number 2 seed in the AFC. That game is scheduled for Sunday at 4:30 p.m. on NBC. Raheem Morris, one of 5 African-American head coaches in the NFL this season, was the first head coach to be fired. The Atlanta Falcons fired Morris Sunday evening, despite the Falcons winning their last 4 games. Atlanta finished 8-9. LeBron and Luka Doncic combined for 62 points Sunday night to lead the Lakers to a 120-114 win over Memphis. Doncic had 36, LeBron dropped 26 and 10 assists. The Lakers are 22-11, third best in the Western Conference. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
1 year ago, flames tore through Altadena and Eaton Canyon, changing lives forever. From the ashes, can a beloved community rise stronger? Hi, I'm Dominique DePrima, host of First Things First, weekday mornings, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580. And I'm inviting you to join us on Wednesday, January 7th, as we broadcast live from Perry's Joint on the 1-year anniversary of this horrific and devastating fire. We're remembering those we lost, celebrating the heroes and sheroes who answered the call, and honoring the resilience of neighbors who are determined to rebuild together.
I've been a strong black woman a long time, and I can't just break down now.
Hear the stories of survival, the voices of recovery, the spirit of community that the fire couldn't destroy, and yes, the angst of those who still do not know where they go from here.
Yeah, where am I gonna go?
At KBLA Talk 1580, we don't just cover the story, we're part of this community, and we've done our level best to hold those responsible for this fire accountable. And 1 year later, we're still standing together.
It is my hopes that black people will rebuild those homes.
So join us live at Perry's Joint, 2051 Lincoln Avenue in Pasadena, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Wednesday, January 7th, as we commemorate the 1-year anniversary of the Altadena Eaton Canyon fire. Because some stories demand to be remembered.
This too shall pass.
This KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall is sponsored by LA Fire Justice.
Did you know that streaming music, ebooks, audiobooks, movies, and more is available for free from the Los Angeles Public Library? With your library card, you can access the latest music and movies, audiobooks and ebooks, graphic novels, comic books, magazines, and more. If you don't have a library card and live in the city of Los Angeles, you can get a digital card online for free. Check it out at lapl.org/emedia. That's lapl.org/emedia.
Who let the dogs out? Tired of the same old sports talk? Ready to go where the real conversation happens? Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, host of Out of Bounds, the sports show that doesn't play it safe. Every Friday at 6 p.m. on KBLA Talk 1580, my co-host Neil Scarborough and I get you ready for the weekend. We take you beyond the highlight reels and into the stories that matter. The controversial calls, the game-changing plays, the athletes making headlines for all the right reasons and sometimes the wrong ones. From the NFL to the NBA, College ball to the pros. If it's happening in sports, we're breaking it down with no filter and all opinion. Tune in to Out of Bounds with me, Ray Richardson, and my co-host Neil Scarborough, live every Friday at 6 p.m. only on KBLA Talk 1580. Because the best conversations happen out of bounds. KBLA Talk 1580, where Los Angeles talks.
The magic isn't over yet. Target's clearance event is happening now with savings of up to 50%. It's the perfect time to get set for the year with great deals on clothing and shoes for the whole family, beauty faves for every style, toys that keep the fun going, and so much more. Don't miss out because these deals go fast. Score incredible savings and keep the magic going during the clearance event, now in stores, only at Target. Restrictions apply.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Be heard. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
And welcome back indeed. And we are starting off the new year strong this year. So we have a special surprise coming up for you this half of the hour. I do want to thank James Farr for sitting in for me while I got some sleep. You can see I'm shot out of a cannon. Nothing like a lot of good sleep to get you ready for 2026. So big thank you to James Farr. And we'll be joined by James Farr in Pasadena on Wednesday as we mark 1 year since the terrible fires of last January, particularly the Altadena fire, tracking the recovery. We'll be hearing from folks in that community who are working to rebuild, and community-based organizations and others. You are welcome to join us. We're going to be at Perry's Joint, and we will be there broadcasting my entire show. We'll be there from 6 to 9, so drop by at any point that you find yourself available, or of course you can tune in on the app. You can tune in on the old-fashioned radio. It is something we promised to keep tracking, and that is exactly what James does on his weekend show every Saturday, the Conversation Live, Altadena Rising. So we are looking forward to that conversation on Wednesday. Big anniversaries and important topics to tackle this week. Absolutely. Tomorrow will be 1 year since the... 1 year. My brain, it seems like it's been a short time, but no, it actually hasn't been. It's been 4 years. Or 5 years? Is it 5 years since the coup attempt on the Capitol? Yeah, it's 5 years because it was the attempting to stop the certification of the election that brought Joe Biden to the White House. Now, believe it or not, the main coup attempter is back in the White House. So the special surprise that I had, I was hoping this would happen, and it has. She's considered one of the most powerful women in American politics. She's an outspoken advocate for women, children, people of color, the poor, veterans, and older Americans. Millennials call her Auntie Maxine. She was reelected in 2022 to her 17th term in the House of Representatives with more than 70% of the vote. Congresswoman Maxine Waters, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique. Thank you. How are you doing? And Happy New Year and all of that to you and everybody at the station.
Oh, well, Happy New Year to you, Congresswoman. We are fine. We're blessed to still be here standing with a free and open mic. And Happy New Year to you. I hope all is well with you, too.
All is well. Thank you. But not all is well in Washington, D.C.
No, it isn't. And, when I saw the statement you put out, you wasted no time going in on Venezuela.
That's right. I wasted no time from the moment I heard about it. First of all, I tweeted, and that's when I started out, what the hell is this? And raised a number of questions in my first tweet about what was going on and speculated that it had something to do with regime change and oil. And I'm turning out to be right on that, because now in his own press conference, he's mentioned oil numerous times. The President of the United States has invaded Venezuela, he has captured the president of Venezuela and his wife. They have taken them to New York. He claims this is all about drug trafficking and protecting our country from Maduro and making sure that they basically indict him, convict him, and imprison him. However, it does not ring true because the President of the United States has pardoned the former president of Honduras who dumped 400 tons of cocaine into the United States and had been indicted, was imprisoned by Biden for what he had done. The president pardoned him and let him out. All that was known about him and his dumping of cocaine into the U.S. This President Trump is out of control. He's got another agenda. He's got, a need to want to take over this hemisphere. He's now talking about putting the oil companies in to take over the management and ownership of oil in Venezuela. This is outrageous. And we have been faced with so many outrageous things every day we wake up that this president is. He bombed part of Nigeria also.
That is stunning, and I don't understand it because we already have access to their oil, right? I mean, the big oil companies are already there in Nigeria. And if he's going after Boko Haram, he's bombing a part of Nigeria where they don't even exist. I don't understand why he's attacking the Nigerians at all, Congresswoman.
But he lies. He claims that Christians are under attack from the Muslims. Well, it's none of his damn business to begin with. And for him to reach that far to talk about the United States is protecting Christians from Muslims is outrageous. It doesn't ring true. And I am just so fed up with this president. I am just so angry about what he's doing, his disrespect for the Congress of the United States. He does not give a damn about the law, about international law. And, unfortunately, he's got the majority. He's the president. He's got the ability to exercise executive orders, and he's done so. He is punishing his so-called enemies, people who have been, responsible for identifying, some of the basically crime that he's committed, like up in New York, the Attorney General up there. And so here we are. We're stuck. The only way we're going to be able to do anything about him is either be able to go ahead and try to get impeachment again. We know we don't have all the support of the Republicans in order to do that. Are the people of the United States just going to have to rise up and say no more, and take over the government?
Congresswoman Waters, I mean, you've seen this playbook before. A lot of people are saying, well, the U.S. has done this in Latin America. They've done it in Haiti. They've done it in Africa as far as the regime change. And usually it's not quite so blatant. But I don't feel like they usually take out the first lady. And I feel like I've never heard us say we're going to run their country. We might do it behind the scenes through a puppet government, but I've never heard the President of the United States say we're going to run your country.
Well, the President of the United States is an outrageous, brazen, corrupt individual. And for him to have the audacity to say, we're going to run your country, is just unheard of. I mean, that in the imperialism of the United States, nobody said we're going to take over your country and run it. Where that has happened in the past in our history.
We are talking with Congresswoman Maxine Waters, talking Venezuela and international politics, because there is a real clear and present danger of a domino effect here. We'll continue the conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominic DePrima when we come forward.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to partner with the Empowerment Congress once again for their 34th annual summit. The summit's theme is From Vision to Action, a forum to unlock participatory democracy, and will feature a nonpartisan gubernatorial candidate forum focused on issues of importance to the African American community. The summit is the signature public policy-oriented observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy during the national 3-day holiday weekend that celebrates his life. This year's summit will be held on Saturday, January 17th, 2026 at the California Science Center in Exposition Park from 9 to 11 a.m. Admission is free, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. All major announced candidates for California governor for the Democratic and Republican Party nominations have been invited to participate in the candidate forum, which will be moderated by Tavis Smiley. An all-star panel of journalists will pose questions to the candidates, and the forum will be broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580. This is going to be a big year for local, state, and national politics. The political pulse of 2026 beats on KBLA Talk 1580.
The conversation continues right now with Dominic DePrima on First Things First.
Talking with Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Congresswoman Waters, The Hill is reporting that the president said yesterday that he actually warned the oil companies that he was going to kidnap Maduro prior to and after the incursion, and he still hasn't briefed Congress. That seems outrageous, if not illegal.
Well, it's more than outrageous. This individual is such a cruel, corrupt, brazen, disrespectful, everything that you can name about someone that has acted in the way that he has acted. And so, no, and some kind of briefing today for those who have gotten back to Congress in the leadership, but most of us won't be back until tomorrow. So maybe they have gotten Hakeem Jeffries and the head of our Foreign Affairs Committee and the head of the person who deals with our classified information. But it's late. It's really late. I mean, the world knows what has happened. He has bragged about it. He's lied about it. And so the briefing is a day late and $1 short. And there's nothing that he can say to remedy what he has done. And I tell you, I wish we had the votes for impeachment, because now would be the time to absolutely get him. I don't think we have the votes, and we're focused on trying to, number one, focus it.
I mean, I'm hearing even
significant health care.
I'm hearing some Democrats, even, John Fetterman, I don't know if he really counts as a Democrat, but I'm hearing some Democrats saying, well, we should support the president on this. People are admiring how, clean and swift the military attack was. To me, that's even dangerous, because it makes me wonder, what will the Democratic Party response be? Well, how will Democratic lawmakers push back? Even without the votes for impeachment, surely there must be some kind of censure, or at least, clear messaging that Democrats can provide at this moment.
We started to talk about that in a conference call yesterday about and exploring the kinds of things that may be able to do, to at least have a consolidated effort by the Democrats to show that we are not supporting him, and that we're not supporting him invading a sovereign country. We're not supporting him using the military this way. For him to brag about what they did, hell, everybody knows that Venezuela and the Caribbean countries don't have armies to match ours. And so, to talk about it was such a clean operation, how well they did, et cetera, yeah, they could do that with any, basically, Caribbean country. And that's what I'm afraid of, that he wants to keep going to take over the entire Western Hemisphere. I think Cuba is next. I think he's going to go into Cuba. They're already, in a very slick way, in Haiti, trying to force an illegal election. And so not only do I think he wants to take over the Western Hemisphere, I do believe that he wants to exhibit extraordinary power around the world so that he can continue to put the fear of God in people about our army and our ability to basically invade countries and take them over. And so, I tell you, every way that you look at this, from the standpoint of the president lying and having pardoned a real dope dealer that had already been convicted, to looking at the fact that he had already started bombing and had bombed, I think, about 20 boats in Venezuela, killing people without any documentation of them being involved in drugs at all, 2 of whom were hanging on the side of a boat who got killed when they realized they were alive. The order was to just shoot them down and kill them. Or, his going forward to talk about oil and taking over oil, taking over.
And Congresswoman, I don't understand. Now the president is saying that they may continue to bomb those boats with no proof, no trial, no charges. Even though they've taken the president of Venezuela out, they're saying they may still continue bombing boats.
Well, I wouldn't put it past him. He's going to get away with doing as much as he can while he's in power. And while he's got the MAGA organization behind him and supporting him, it's going to be hard to stop him. He's going to continue to do it.
Congresswoman Waters,
he's going to continue to do it.
Today, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says that they've started censure actions against Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, who, along with some other lawmakers, made a video saying don't follow illegal orders. which seems very basic to me. I know it's part of actually the training that they give our military. But Hegseth is calling the video seditious, and he's moving forward with censure. What do you make of that?
Well, here's what I make. They're trying to intimidate as many lawmakers as possible and trying to, again, exercise extraordinary for those that they try to send to jail one way or the other, or those that they will keep from stepping up and exercising our constitutional rights to speak out. They're trying to shut us down. They're trying to show that they are not going to take anything off of any opposition, and they will respond in ways that will either place us in jail or, in my observation, even kill us. We still don't know how Epstein died. He didn't commit suicide. Most people don't believe that. And so I think that they're capable of not only imprisoning, but of killing also.
Well, Congresswoman Waters, I mean, that's very alarming. I would imagine, I hope that you're safe. I know the threats against you are always a part of your everyday life, and you just brave them. But I would imagine under this administration, it's intensified.
It has intensified, and I have gotten a lot of death threats. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to march in the Martin Luther King Day parade because of the security concerns that we have about Capitol Police, because, I like to walk.
Yeah, you be walking in them stilettos looking kind of sassy. Yeah. I see you.
yeah. But I won't be doing it. I am going to use security now in a different way. I've never...
Congresswoman Waters.
In my community. I like to go to the cleaners, shop for groceries, walk on the street, talk to people and all of that. And it's hard for me to talk about, having security around me all the time. But this is a dangerous administration. This is a dangerous president. He has proven his danger in the way that he's bombed the boats of people that he didn't have a clue about whom they were, what was on the boat, what was not on the boat, no investigation, no documentation, nothing. And he has gotten away with it because we can't lock him up. We can't just grab him and say, we know you're the president, because he owns not only the Department of Justice, he owns the military. And people got to understand why the vote is so important and who gets elected to offices at every level in this country. That is our guarantee of the possibility of having a democracy and working toward making sure that at least the Constitution is respected, et cetera, et cetera. The vote is all about keeping people like Trump out of office, and we've got to look forward to that. If we can't do anything prior to the election, and that's a long way away, we have to understand that a lot more could go on, but we got to understand how important the vote is.
Congresswoman Waters, thank you so very much. Appreciate you, and please stay safe. Tavis Smiley is up next. He's got a great show for you. He is ready to go. I will see you tomorrow. Like my mama used to say, history is now, and we are making it together. Until next time, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Protesters are erupting outside the White House over U.S. military action in Venezuela.
No war in Venezuela!